Good morning students. In the last period our chapter number 14 electric current and its effects was completed. Today I am going to start your chapter number 10 respiration in organisms. In this chapter you will learn about why do we respire, breathing, how do we breathe, breathing in other animals like cockroach and earthworm, breathing underwater, it means animals who are living in water, how they breathe in water. At the last you will learn about do plants also respire or not. Now we will start the chapter number 10 respiration in organisms. One day Bojo was eagerly waiting to meet his grandparents who were coming to the town after a year. He was in a real hurry as he wanted to receive them at the bus stop. He ran fast and reached the bus stop in few minutes, and he was breathing rapidly. Now you are aware about that when you are doing any activity, any fast activity, suppose you are playing or running, that time you can understand that you are breathing fastly. You are breathing fastly. Then his grandmother asked him why he was breathing so fast. Then Bojo told her that he came running all the way. But the question got stuck in his mind. He wondered why running makes a person breathe faster. The person breathe faster. Now one question is arises in our mind when we are playing, when we are running, that time we are breathing fast. We are breathe fast. And why we are breathe fast, that question will be arises. And the answer of the Bojo's question lies in understanding why we breathe. And breathing is a part of respiration. And let us learn about respiration. Let us learn about the respiration. Now, our first point, why do we respire? Why do we respire? Now see the point. In chapter 2nd, you learn that all organisms are made of small microscopic units called cells. We are aware about that. The chapter number 2nd, nutrition in plant, in that we learn about all the organisms are made up of small microscopic units, and which is called as a cell. And a cell is the smallest structural and functional unit of organism. And the cell is the smallest structural and functional unit of organism. Each cell of an organism performs certain functions such as nutrition, transport, excretion, and reproduction. Each cell, each cell performs certain functions. Which are the functions are there in our body? Nutrition, transportation, excursion, and reproduction. To perform these function, the cell needs energy. We are aware about that our body requires energy, or our body requires food. Why food is required? For getting energy. Even when we are eating, sleeping, or reading, we require energy. For all these activities, so for eating, sleeping, and reading, we require energy. But where does this energy come from? Where does this energy come from? And we are already aware about that, from food. And can you say why your parents insist that you should eat regularly? And your parent there insist you have to eat regularly. You have to eat regularly a balanced diet. And the food has stored energy. Why we have to eat? Because the food has an stored energy, and which is released during respiration, and that is released during the respiration. Therefore all organisms respire to get energy from food. And for that purpose all living organisms, they respire to get energy from the food, and during breathing we breathe in air, and you know that air contains oxygen. We are aware about that. From air we are getting oxygen. When we breathe in air, that time we are taking oxygen. We breathe out air which is rich in carbon dioxide. We are aware about that. We breathe in air which contains oxygen, and we breathe out air which rich in carbon dioxide. We are releases carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The air we breathe in is transported to all parts of the body and utilized ultimately to each cell. When we breathe in, that time we are taking oxygen. Inside the body, and this air will be transported to all parts of the body, because all parts are required that air. All parts are required oxygen to get energy. All cells, in all body parts cells are there. And each cell is required that energy. Each cells is required the oxygen. In the cells, oxygen in the air helps in the breakdown of food. Helps the breakdown of food. Oxygen which is present in the air, that helps in the breakdown of food, and the process of breakdown of food in the cell, breakdown of food in the cell with the release of energy is called cellular respiration. Most important definition, mark this or write down in your notebook also. The process of breakdown of food in the cell with release energy is called cellular respiration. The process of breakdown of food in the cell with releases energy is called as a cellular respiration, and the cellular respiration take place in the cells of all organisms, and this cellular respiration can take place in all organisms. Then what happen in the cell, we will see. In the cell, the food, it means glucose. In the cell, the food glucose is broken down into carbon dioxide and water, using oxygen. In the cell, that food material is broken down into carbon dioxide and water using oxygen. And when breakdown of glucose occurs with the use of oxygen, it is called aerobic respiration. And this breakdown of food and this breakdown of glucose occurs with the use of oxygen. It is called as an aerobic respiration. And food can also be broken down without using of oxygen. This is called anaerobic respiration. And breakdown of food releases energy. There are two types of respiration, keep in your mind. One is aerobic respiration, another one is anaerobic respiration. Another one is anaerobic respiration. What is the definition are there? When breakdown of glucose occurs with the use of oxygen, that is called aerobic respiration. And when the breakdown of food occurs without using oxygen, this is called anaerobic respiration. Two types of respiration will be there. Now see what is the mechanism in the aerobic respiration. The equation was given there. Glucose with the use of oxygen, and which product we are getting? Carbon dioxide, water and energy. Carbon dioxide releases in the atmosphere, water we are getting, and energy to do work. You should know that there are some organisms such as yeast that can survive in the absence of air. Yeast is a single celled organism. It is a single celled organism and it can be survive in the absence of air. And they are called anaerobes. And from that we can understand that they are doing anaerobic respiration. They get energy through anaerobic respiration. They are anaerobes. They are survive in the absence of air, and that's why they get energy through anaerobic respiration. In the absence of oxygen, glucose break down into alcohol and carbon dioxide as given below. See the equation. Glucose without the use of oxygen, and which product are formed? Alcohol, carbon dioxide and energy. In the next academic year, in the 8th standard, you will learn about the yeast. For what purpose they are using yeast. Now next point, here some information is provided here about yeast. Yeast are single celled organisms. I already told that yeast is a single celled organism. They respire anaerobically and during this process yield alcohol, and when they are respire anaerobically, that time they are producing alcohol. We are already learned that. And they are therefore used to make wine and beer. And for that purpose yeast is used to make wine and beer, because they are producing alcohol. Now the next and most important point, our muscle cells. Our muscle cells can also respire anaerobically. Now it is most interesting point from this chapter. Our muscle cells can also respire anaerobically. From up to this we are aware about that we respire through our nose. nose, through our nostrils, but here what is mentioned, our muscle cells can also respire anaerobically. Our muscles, they also respire. How interesting it is. See, but only for a short time. Our muscle cells can also respire anaerobically, but only for short time. When there is a temporary deficiency of oxygen, when there is a temporary deficiency of oxygen during heavy exercise, fast running, cycling, walking for many hours, or heavy weightlifting, the demand of energy is high, but the supply of oxygen to produce the energy is limited. What happened in this point? Our muscle cells can also respire anaerobically, but for only short time. And when there is a temporary deficiency of oxygen, when we are doing heavy exercise, which is heavy exercise, and that time, which are the heavy exercise, suppose we are running fast for more time, cycling, walking for many hours, or heavy weightlifting, that time what happen, demand of energy, demand of energy is required in a high quantity, demand of energy is required in high quantity, but the supply of oxygen is, the supply of oxygen to produce the energy is limited, because we are breathing through our nose, nostrils, and the oxygen, supply of oxygen to produce that much amount of energy is limited, oxygen is limited. And then anaerobic respiration take place in the muscle cells to fulfill the demand of energy, to fulfill the demand of energy. Now see, glucose in the absence of oxygen, glucose which is present in the muscle, now see, which is mentioned there already, glucose in the muscle, and in the absence of oxygen, and the product from that, lactic acid and energy, lactic acid and energy. During heavy exercise, energy is required in a huge quantity, but we are breathing from the nostrils, that time oxygen, supply of oxygen is less to produce that much amount of energy, and that time our body, our muscle cells respire anaerobically, and due in this process, the product which is formed, lactic acid and energy. Now next point, and what is the side effect of that? Now see here, have you ever wondered why you get muscle cramps after heavy exercise? And what happens when we are doing any heavy exercise, that time we are getting muscle cramps, we are getting muscle cramps. The cramps occurs when muscle cells respire anaerobically, and these cramps occurs when the muscle cells are respires anaerobically, and that time what happen, the partial breakdown of glucose produces lactic acid. In this equation we learn that, glucose which is the breakdown of glucose which is occur and which produces lactic acid, the partial breakdown of glucose produces lactic acid, and the accumulation of lactic acid causes muscle cramp, and this accumulation of lactic acid causes muscle cramp. What happen when we are doing the heavy exercise, that time where our body requires more energy, but the supply of oxygen to produce this energy is limited, and that's why our muscles, they are going to do the anaerobic respiration. And that time what happen, that time when our body is doing the anaerobic respiration, that time the partial breakdown of glucose that produces the lactic acid, and the accumulation of that lactic acid which causes muscle cramp. And when we are getting the relief, we get relief from the cramps after hot water bath or massage. We are aware about that. For that purpose, when we are getting the relief, when we are taking the hot water bath or massage, can you guess why it is so? And from why we are getting relief from the hot water bath or massage? Because hot water bath or massage improves the circulation of blood. The circulation, it improves when we are getting massage or hot water bath, taking hot water bath, that time what happen, it improves the circulation, blood circulation, it improves the blood circulation, and as a result the supply of oxygen to muscle cells increases, and the increase in the supply of oxygen results in the complete breakdown of lactic acid into carbon dioxide and water, and from that we are getting relief from that muscle cramp. Here see, most important, we have to take hot water bath or massage to improve the blood circulation, and as a result the supply of oxygen, when the blood circulation is going to proper in a proper way, that time what happens, the supply of oxygen to the muscle cell it increases, and the increase the supply of oxygen, it means it results in the complete breakdown of lactic acid into carbon dioxide and water, and we are getting energy, and that muscle cramp will be releases, we are getting relief from that muscle cramp. Today up to this we covered, remaining part we will see in the next period.